What's up, guys? Welcome back. We're doing another sag adjustment, but this time on the Ninja. So the process for checking the sag on the Ninja is really pretty much the same as it is on the motocross bike. Yeah. But what's going to be different is I'm going to be using a tape measure, which basically means we have to take a third measurement that we didn't really need to take when I was using my fancy measurement tool that I can't really use on a street bike. It just doesn't fit right. So let's get started. The first measurement we want to make is the third measurement that I was talking about that we need to do because we're using a tape measure instead of our fancy measuring tool that we used in the previous pro tip video for measuring the sag on the motocross bike. And what we want to do is take all of the weight off of the rear suspension so that the shock is fully extended. And the only way to do that I know of with the Ninja is to elicit some help and yank on the subframe and just take all the weight off of the rear shock so it's fully extended. We'll measure that, and then our static sag measurement and our race sag measurement will be based off of that first measurement with the bike fully extended, the full travel of the rear suspension. The measurement numbers are in. So with the suspension fully extended, all the weight off of the rear wheel, shock fully extended, 551 millimeters. Second measurement, the static sag, 535 millimeters. So I think that's what, 16 millimeters of static sag. And then with me on the bike, we measured 517 millimeters. I think that gives us 34 millimeters of race sag. So that's not too bad, that's pretty close. And again, you're seeing a big difference between something like a crotch rocket and a motocross bike that has a lot more suspension. And I think on a motocross bike, you're aiming for around 100 millimeters of sag. At least that's a guideline, it's a starting point. You can adjust it from there depending on the kind of riding you do. But on a crotch rocket on the street, just riding around with a license plate, you're probably okay around 30 millimeters of rider sag, race sag. And if you're a track day or a hardcore racer, you're probably going to be closer to like 20, 25. You're going to make the suspension a little bit stiffer. But for riding on the street, 10 to 15 millimeters of static sag, 30 millimeters of race sag, you're good. Again, different when you're going to be on the track, you're going to stiffen things up a little bit. But on the street, we're pretty close. So right now I'm going to add just a little bit of preload to the suspension and see if we can get the static sag and a rider sag closer to 10, 15, and 30.
Okay, just like on the motocross bike, we're going to start by loosening the lock nut or the top collar here, and then we'll add some preload by tightening up the lower collar. Pro tip, if you have a brass drift, it will prevent from damaging your collars because the brass is softer than the metal used to make the collars. That wasn't very tight at all. Who put this bike together? Now that it's finger loose, we're just gonna move that out of the way. Then we're gonna have to switch to the other side so that we can tighten down and add preload.
We are done adding preload to the shock. You know what? I need to change the view. We need to get more of the bike in there because, quite frankly, it looks way better than I do. So we're done adding preload to the shock. We retook the static and rider race sag measurements. We don't really need to redo the fully extended measurement where we took weight off of the rear shock and fully extended it, because that's not going to change unless you took the shock apart to rebuild it or something like that, which we're not doing today, thankfully. So let's see, we went from a static sag of 535 to 538. Got to read my notes here. That is a difference of 16 to 13 millimeters of static sag. Not bad. Let's see, 517 Went to 521 on the rider or race sag. That's me sitting on the bike, which goes from 34 to 30 millimeters of race or rider sag. I think those are pretty good numbers. I don't really need or feel the need to add more preload and get below 30 millimeters. Like I said, if you're a track guy, hardcore racer, you know, maybe you're running 20 to 25 millimeters of race or rider sag. That's not me. I don't race this bike. I don't even do track days with it. It's just a street machine for me. So 30 millimeters of race sag I think is good. And you know, it's an additional 4 millimeters and change. So in my opinion, you know, a good novice, intermediate kind of rider, you should be able to notice 5 millimeters of change. So I'm actually kind of anxious to get out and ride the Ninja again. Unfortunately, it is cold and wet. We've had drizzle and light rain that started late last night. It's been like that all day. So definitely not good riding conditions, at least not for me. I'm a fair weather rider. And same goes for the motocross bike. I can't wait to get out and ride it and feel and notice the difference in change since we made the adjustments on the rear sag. That's all I got for this video. I hope you found it useful, and like, subscribe, share, all that stuff that really kind of completes my life at this point in time. So keep the rubber side down, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Where's the finger? There it is. It's right there. Yeah. Bye.